So I'm going to share with you a recent experience that I've had actually trying to promote an idea and sell it to a school district, and also give you some tips and guidance around why I did some of the things that I did. So um, this is actually a true story, and it happened fairly recently. Basically, I've been playing around a lot with AI and trying to see if there are ways to provide services to districts with a more AI enabled approach, which allows us to do uh, faster and broader analysis of data to provide better analytics and pattern recognition around certain things. So, before the this website was launched, more specifically, it was just a landing page. Uh, the landing page was officially live in mid-January, and in November, what I started doing was actually just building things on Google Slides or PowerPoint. I use slides or slide deck just because it's easy to make tweaks, and as you're constantly getting feedback and refining, you could actually just make the slide changes right away and update them, and then present the same deck to somebody else in almost the next day. Whereas building a website and stuff, there's a lot more tweaks and engineering that goes into it in some cases. So there are a couple solutions that I wanted to try out to see where this might land the best within a district and which problems. So it was everything from looking at leadership development using AI, doing scenario planning, to strategic planning and budgeting. And so we were able to present a couple different things really quickly in a slide deck. Then I took that slide deck, and uh, by December, I reached out to 10 contacts, asked them to give me feedback, some in just through Zoom, and others were in person meetings. Uh, of those 10 contacts, one actually agreed to give me feedback, and the timing was right, and they decided that it's something that they wanted to try. Two others required a couple follow-ups and they just said, oh, sorry, I didn't see it, or I got busy, or something came up. Schools, there's always something going on. So you have to remind yourself, when you're at school, there's always these distractions that you may intend to follow up with somebody, but you just happen to forget. And then there were a handful, a half a dozen or so, that just didn't respond. And the plan is to continue to respond, follow up with them, but I will follow up with them on versions 3, 4, 5 of what I started with, so that they could see kind of the progress of what's been done, and the thinking around it. So that was kind of phase one of this. Phase two is, that first customer that I mentioned is a large district, and they were very excited to get started. So, I sent the proposal out, and they were like, yes. And then, within a few weeks, they gave me a verbal commitment to move forward. And so the timelines were, after the verbal commitment, we would expect a contract within a couple weeks, and so on and so forth. And really, it took 2 months from verbal commitment to actually signing the contract. And there were a lot of steps that I had to jump through in order to get to the actual signature, like registering as a vendor, making sure all the incorporation and legal documents, but also insurance and all sorts of things that needed to take place. 2 months for a large district, to be honest with you, is pretty fast. But because the way the district had originally thought they could actually sign it in 1 month, right? And so, again, as I mentioned in the prior lesson, our plans are usually drafted up in semi-perfect conditions, whereas most of the time we're executing in imperfect conditions. So other people aren't responding, or of the 7 signatures I needed on this contract, 3 of the people that needed to sign it were on traveling at conferences. There was an important state meeting that came up. There were a lot of other things that there's no way I could have predicted and to actually plan for. And so you always have a little bit of buffer that you have to account for.